It's not that often that the opportunity comes up to explore a recently closed power plant. It's even less likely that many will get the chance to explore a power plant that still has power, such as the Nanticoke Coal Power Plant. In 2015, I had the idea to scout this location and see if it was at all possible to explore. I spent a few hours one day scouting, watching, and observing, and I came to the conclusion that yes, someday I will attempt to explore this large, vacant power plant. What I didn't know was at the very same time that I was considering this, two of my exploring friends had already been inside and were in the process of multiple trips to explore every inch of this vacant coal power plant. I called Rhythm Rider and another friend. We had all set up a date and a time and a place to meet. Unfortunately, the plans with those guys fell through, but I was already mentally prepared for this challenge, and I was not turning back. I spent the entire day exploring some other houses, plus a large hospital, psyching myself up for what I knew would not only be a very epic adventure, but also a risky one. I parked my car at the pre-designated spot, almost 2 kilometers away, and started my walk. The walk was long to get to the property, and once I was on the property, it was an even longer walk to get to the power plant. Between the time I left my car and the moment I took my first photo, I had spent almost 2 hours walking, watching, waiting, and climbing. I knew where I had to go, but I had no idea how to get there. Finally, I came out of a small door into a large cavernous area full of conveyors and some of the harshest light I've had to shoot with. But now I had to find my way inside from here. After what seemed like forever, I finally came to a door that said Unit 3. This felt like a door I should open. I opened this door, walk inside, through a few more doors, and finally the gates of heaven have opened, and I'm finally inside the place where I need to be. Sexy steel goodness, iron beams, pipes, hoses, gauges. Finally, I can start shooting and exploring the inside of the Nanticoke Power Plant. The sheer size of this place could not be translated in photos. I tried my best to get a few photos to show the scale and size of this place. My plan all along once I got in was to go up and up as high as I could and then work my way across and down until I reached the turbine hall. I was beat and exhausted, but the amount of adrenaline pumping through my tired body kept me going. Every sense was heightened, every sound was cranked to 11. Every noise I heard sounded like a door or a footstep. In my mind, at any moment, I could be confronted, and there was no way I was talking myself out of this one. I continued my explore and made my way down, with really no idea of where I was. I just kept taking photos, and finally I see a different kind of light and a familiar yellow of the generators in the turbine hall. I've made it, but now the risks are much higher, because if there is a worker or security guard, he'll be down there. I reach one of the many large cranes that cross the turbine hall, but my nerves get the better of me, and to this day, I still regret not going all the way to the middle of the crane for that perfectly centered shot down the center of the turbine hall. I climb down off the crane and continue quietly exploring, but 15 minutes later, I realize I left my camera bag at the crane. Now I have to backtrack back to the crane to get my gear. This is it. This is probably where I'm going to get caught. Thankfully, I made it to the crane, my camera bag was still there where I left it, and I saw no one waiting for me. Now it was time to go to the floor of the turbine hall, then to locate the control room. This was by far the most terrifying part of the explore. Walking the main turbine hall, knowing that at any moment there are at least 2 security guards somewhere on site, and not knowing where they are. So I stepped carefully, I planned every move, and practiced stealth like I never have before. I stopped for a few photos of the main turbine hall, then I proceed to find the control room. Once again, the gates of heaven have opened, and here it is, in all its buttons and dials, green-colored and lit-up glory. One of a handful of control rooms that monitor a set number of units on this end of the turbine hall. This part is terrible. There's a window in the control room that looks right out into the turbine hall, and anyone walking by this window will instantly see me. And I won't know if they're coming, and I won't hear them coming. So I move fast, but not too fast, because I need to take this in. So now I'm done, and now I have to safely and with stealth make my way up and out and try to remember where I came from. I knew about 75% of where I had to go, but there was one door in one section of the plant that I couldn't find. I had no idea if I was facing east or west. It turns out that I walked all the way to the opposite end of the power plant from where I needed to be. I turn around and finally I find the door to the conveyor that will take me back down to get out to my car. After a good 45 minutes, I finally exit to the outside world and come out right where I wanted to be, to the giant monstrous coal excavator. This thing looks like Satan's Ferris wheel, and I can only imagine how awesome it must have been to see this thing in action. I set up a few angles, got the shots I wanted, and now I have to make my way back towards my car and get out of the property. Now, approximately 5 years after my visit, Nanticoke Generating Station has been completely demolished. The smokestacks were blown up, and the entire power plant has been leveled.
The moment of truth has arrived. It's go time.
All stations, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire stack 1. Fire stack 2. All stations, stand by for all clear. Stand by. Blast imminent in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Nanticoke Power Plant was most definitely one of my top best explorers ever, and there will be very little I can do for however long I keep doing this that will ever top the experience of exploring this huge, vacant, and empty coal-fired power plant all alone.